Welcome to the Mini Challenge, and this week is a little bit different because for the first time the Mini Challenge has ventured across the English Channel and its first trip to the circuit park Zandvoort for a triple header amongst the dunes. Spectacular weekend of racing in prospect, and as the grid cleared for race one, the crowd begun to gather. They wondered what excitement lay in store. This is how they lined up then, with Chris Smiley in pole position from Jono Brown. Second row was Jake Packen and Luke Cordell, and on row three, Lee Allen and Chris Smith. Amongst the Cooper class runners, it was Shane Stoney who was quickest in qualifying from Hamish Brandon, with Ricky Page in third from Ollie Walker. A dry track greeted the drivers for race one, where Jono Brown unfortunately made a little bit of a mess of his start and was very rapidly swamped by those around, and with places so hard earned in the Mini Challenge, he had a lot of work to do, as did Stuart Calder, who got it all wrong going to Hugenholtz for the first time, running out wide very close to the tyre barrier and losing a number of places. Calder though did his utmost to gain the ground as the race went on, taking one or two risks as he looked to find his way up past Kevin O'Connor. Eventually Stuart just looked every which way to pick his way past O'Connor. Kevin, meanwhile, driving a fine race, stout in his defence. Eventually it all came to a head. Stuart was over optimistic, contact was made, and Kevin O'Connor pirouetted his gravel trap with a wave of apology. Slender compensation. Josh Gollin, meanwhile, found himself in the thick of the Cooper class action in pursuit of Ollie Walker and Ricky Page, as they did battle for the final spot on the Cooper class rostrum, with Hamish Brandon and Shane Stoney having made an early escape, unable to make that move, and Ollie Walker to get himself onto turns with Ricky Page. Shane Stoney almost had the opportunity to admire the scenery, such was his advantage in the Cooper class, so he went on to score another win in what's been an emphatically successful season. Chris Smith, as ever, to be found very much in the heart of the action, although that moment into Tarzan, outbraking himself, a little bit of a bump into Lawrence Davey as well. Saw him eventually yielding the position back to Davey. A frenetic battle between the pair of them, all the way through to the flag. Jono Brown did what he could to recover from that poor start. This somewhat robust move on Lee Allen was one place gained. That was up into fourth position, where he quickly got himself onto terms with the enduring battle between Jake Packen and Luke Cordell, the pair of them circulating almost nose to tail throughout much of proceedings. Brown though couldn't find a way through, eventually would finish in fourth position, despite, as you can see, trying every trick in the book to move himself up into a podium place. It wasn't always that way though, because at the front of the field Luke Cordell had a super view of the early exchanges between Chris Smiley and Jake Packen, the pair of them going elbow to elbow on more than one occasion. Eventually though, it was Smiley who was able to prevail ahead of the field and actually pulled out quite a margin. It was then Packen who came under sustained pressure from Luke Cordell throughout most of the race. Packen though is made of strong stuff, and there was no way through for Cordell, so it was Smiley who took the victory from Jake Packen in second, with Luke Cordell in third. In the Cooper class it was Shane Stoney who took the win from Hamish Brandon and Josh Gollin. Super racing though set us up very nicely for the following two races of the weekend. So let's have a look at the final classification. Firstly, the JCW runners, it was Chris Smiley, Jake Packen, Luke Cordell, Jono Brown in fourth from Lee Allen and Lawrence Davey. Confirmation that amongst the JCW runners, Smiley, Packen and Cordell completing the JCW podium, and then the Cooper class, it was Shane Stoney from Hamish Brandon and Josh Gollin. Cars coming to the grid then, ready for the second race of the weekend. Problems though for Adrian Norman. His boot has become detached as Chris Smiley lines up in pole. Into the pit lane comes Shane Stoney, and I suspect that could be for a tyre change because it's pretty greasy. These cars have got a lot of mechanical aerodynamic grip, so you just wonder whether that's a decision possibly to move from wets to slicks. In the meantime, Adrian Norman's boot is proving to be a little bit tricky for the Zandvoort Marshals. It's now in position, so about to get the green flag waved at the rear of the grid. As to the Coastal Racing pit box comes Shane Stoney, the team all ready to effect a tyre change, as it's the red car of Smiley in pole position alongside the black machine of Jake Packers. Away we go. 20 minutes of action at Zandvoort await. It's a good start from Lee Allen, who was very smooth offline. He now looks to draw alongside and past Jake Packers as they head towards the braking zone. The Tarzan for the first time. This is when they'll have to tiptoe on the brakes, trying to find the traction, particularly those that have started on slick tyres. Luke Cordell in the midfield, just in behind Chris Smith and John O'Brown, as they all weave their way on towards Hugenholtz for the first time. So well up in the early stages is Lawrence Davey, as Packard gets it all wrong and almost into the tyres at Hugenholtz, and he may well lose out to Luke Cordell here on the exit. They now sprint onto one of the fastest sections of the circuit. Chris Smith then tucked in behind Lawrence Davey, trying to find a way past him. Great shot. They can see just how attentive Smith is being. Well, for those that have started on slicks, they're not going to find too many rich pickings maybe through that particular section. They then arrive into Stevlacht, the most legendary corners here at Zandvoort, one of the few corners that really remains unchanged as well from the circuit's first inclination. There's Shane Stoney. You can see just how far back he is. He turns through Hugenholtz now. There's already Chris Smiley heading into this newer section of the circuit that was completed in the mid-1990s. It brought the circuit back to international length, as Lee Allen coming under pressure from Lawrence Davey as they sprint out of the romantically named Vodafone box and sprint on towards the Audi S's. Very heavy braking zone. Yeah, this, you can see it's a downhill braking section as well. All the while though, Chris Smiley pulling clear. It's then second place Lee Allen, then Lee, Lawrence Davey third, and Chris Smith, oh, he's got problems and loses it. And has he got the engine running? Yes, he has, because he finds reverse, gets himself out of the way, enables most of the JCW runners to pick their way past. So problems there for Chris Smith, just caught out by the lack of grip in car with Chris Smith. The opportunity to see it again. He takes a big bite of curb, that pitches the car out of balance, and then around he goes, twirls the wheel as Overline completing the first lap, and Chris Smiley trying to pull clear here of Lee Allen. He's doing a pretty good job. Allen's got Lawrence Davey in pursuit. Then we've got that gap back to Jake Packard, as amongst the Cooper class runners, as ever, very, very tight, as we've come to know and expect. Now, who is that at the head of the train? That's Kevin O'Connor, and then it's Ricky Page who leads the Cooper class. So O'Connor in the wars in this first lap. So it's Ricky Page, the second car in the train. He leads the Cooper class. He's then got Ollie Walker in pursuit just behind him. Change of team for Ollie Walker across the Coastal Racing, and Hamish Brandon next long third in the Cooper class. This isn't really what they've expected, is to have a slightly slower JCW class car right in front of them. It's John O'Brown looking to pick up and make some progress past Stuart Calder. And Kevin O'Connor really being caught here by Ricky Page and Ollie Walker. They're all having to stick as well to the emerging dry line. It's going to really make things a little bit tricky possibly for Ricky Page. There is Walker pulled up right behind him, and he's got to have a look into Stevlacht. Here is Ollie Walker, but Ricky Page able to maintain the traction. He finds the grip as they accelerate out of Stevlacht. They're still not really having Kevin O'Connor drive away from them. They're absolutely monstering O'Connor in the braking zone. It suggests that O'Connor has started on slick tyres and is enjoying that experience. Not at all. Ricky Page and Ollie Walker now both pick their way past Kevin O'Connor as they accelerate out of Renault box into Vodafone box for the long run on towards the Audi S bend. Brilliant racing as ever amongst the Cooper class. The big question as well is how quickly can Shane Stoney catch up with this battle. As now getting the power down, Kevin O'Connor immediately able to sprint clear. I suspect that gap will then whittle itself down to absolutely nothing on the brakes into the Audi S's, and Ricky Page is braking. He missed his reference point as O'Connor spins in front of him, and that was all triggered by Ricky Page being distracted by Kevin O'Connor, who was very, very tentative on the brakes, and suddenly it's Ollie Walker who takes the lead in the Cooper class. Ricky Page slips to second and immediately into the clutches of Hamish Brandon, as this is the battle for third in the JCW class as Josh Gollin. We have a replay of a trip through the gravel track for Gollin. It's the car underway immediately, so back then to this battle amongst the Cooper class runners, which are the cars that are much closer really to your standard road going Mini. Very, very closely based on the road going Mini Cooper S, so it is Ollie Walker then to the fore of this train. They're all variations of red, but it's Walker, red car with the white stripes, then it's the all red car of Ricky Page, and then it's Hamish Brandon who is next along. After that, in the meantime, the recovering Chris Smith has found his way past John O'Brien, and this is where experience, particularly in the JCW class, you suspect is going to come to the fore, because those who are able to really get the heat into the slick tyres and find where the grip is are the ones who are going to benefit. Those maybe a little bit less used to running in slick tyres, whether like John O'Brien, who we follow now, will find it rather Stuart Calder. Now we'll find it a little bit tricky. There's John O'Brien, he's been passed as well by Chris Smith, but still in the Cooper class the battle continues. Ricky Page getting himself back towards Ollie Walker, and you'd say of this trio it's Page who's probably the quickest, having had that half spin at the Audi S's last time round. He's going to maybe look to reclaim the lead in the Cooper class this time around into the Audi S Ben. First of all, it is Vodafone Box where he's got to negotiate first. Meantime, Jay Packen coming under pressure from Luke Cordell as they set themselves up for the Harry Loyendike box, as we have got Lee Allen and Lawrence Davey doing battle then over second and third position. It's still Chris Smiley who leads. So that battle going for second and third. This is the one for fourth and fifth, Jay Packen and Luke Cordell, and they have got a rapidly encroaching Chris Smith closing on them. The way that Smith moved to the inside of the road then possibly suggests that Smith is on wet tyres and he's trying to cool them down, because what happens to wet tyres when the track dries out is they overheat, and the rubber tread that's cut into them begins to move around on the wheel. It's a thoroughly unenjoyable driving experience. There's problems for Simon Walton. He has a quick spin again, that would appear to be the Audi S. He rejoins, and he's just been passed there by Shane Stoney. So Stoney gains his first scalp, here we see, and the rear of the car overtakes the front. Walton though should rejoin. Back to the fight for second and third. Lawrence Davey in the third position, the former Legends champion, and this one of his strongest showings of the season to date. All over the tail of Lee Allen, looking to the outside of Allen as they head around the left-hander. Allen though covering the racing line, something of which he is a master. They're going to have the sprint down out of Vodafone Box on towards the Audi S Ben complex. Here they come over the crest into the braking zone, and Lee Allen a little bit late onto the brakes there. He's going to do well to recover it, but he's got the inside line. The second half of the S, they then sprint on to Kumo Bocht, which is really the first of a double right-hander sequence, which just ever grows in pace. So as the battle continues for second place, it's Chris Smiley who leads the way. We are going to take a short break. Join us in a couple of moments' time as the action continues.